So, moving right along, Lorraine in the Lorraine Lopez produced episode, she is going to introduce the next guest. And I just turned your mics back on. There you go.
All right. Well, our last guest here tonight, I'm very happy to introduce because he ran for judge when I first ran for city council 20 years ago, and he won. And he's been a judge ever since. And like growing up in politics, it's like you know somebody, but you don't know them, but you know they're kind of like in the family. So I kind of say I grew up with him.
So I just want to say real quick, and I always do this to Lorrain. So
yeah, he interrupts me.
No. Listen. So a lot of people who are new to the show, and they may not know, Lorraine Lopez used to be a Yonkers City Councilwoman, and she was the first Latina councilwoman in the history of Yonkers.
True.
So I always give her props.
Thank you.
Now introduce your guest.
Oh, well, now we have with us the Honorable Judge Daly, who is a sitting judge for 20 years. Tom Daly.
That's right.
Tom Daly. And he's been a sitting judge, and he's running for re-election again, and he is the nominee. He's designated nominee from the Yonkers Democratic Party.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And there's all the people. So real quick, because we want to get as many questions in as possible in a little bit of time we have. So why? Well, tell us who Tom Daly is. The person, not the judge. The person.
All right. Well, before we talked, we're Mets fans.
Yes. So I don't have to ask you Yankees or Mets. You already told me you Mets.
Yeah. We're with the Mets. But I'm a person who lives in Yonkers. My wife was born and raised in Yonkers. We raised our children here. I have two daughters, and one of them is married. And the other is on the way, I hope, because
with an ADA. I met her. I met them both.
MD.
Yes.
Yeah, the younger one is at Ridge Hill. Yeah. At Westmet at Ridge Hill. Very proud of the two of them. But So of course, obviously, I was a lawyer, and my wife and I both, as we got our house. I'm sorry.
Do you need some water?
Maybe a little bit. Thank you, Lorraine. Anyway, when we, first got our house in Yonkers and then started working on a family, we got involved in various community organizations. Just because my family background and hers too is that you be involved in the community, whether it's politics or something else. So we did that. And gradually that did lead into politics. And somebody once said to me, Yonkers is really a relatively small place. You get to know a lot of people. You could be a judge, try to run for judge if you like. So I said, okay. So I started in 91. I ran for city council at 91. Lost that. Ran for judge in 93. Lost that. Got appointed by Mayor Terry Zaleski in 95. Lost the election to that, but then I got to run again in 2000, and I guess it was the luck of being the same year and because that's when I won, and then I ran for re-election in 2010.
So the terms are 10 years. They're 10-year terms.
10 years terms.
One of the reasons we like to have, and we just started this last year, as many judicial candidates. Many people in my community never are not familiar with the judges and never get to see a judge, unfortunately, until they're standing in front of you.
Yeah, that's the bad part.
Yeah. So we don't know who our judges are, and so hopefully we're in this, as in doing these interviews, we're getting people to know the judges a little bit better and be more informed on the ballot, because I don't believe in that voting row A all the way, or just voting for people just because they're on tickets with other people. But who's the best candidates, and people need to know. So, why should they vote for you for re-election?
All right. Well, I've demonstrated for the past 20 years that I can certainly be fair and impartial to all the litigants that come. We have criminal, we have civil, we have small claims court, we have landlord and tenant court. So we have a lot of hats to wear, And most of the people, of course, the criminal people are entitled to and get representation. But on the civil side, many of the people don't have representation. So it's a little bit of a challenge to sort of shepherd them through the system. We can't advocate for one side or the other, but we can provide information, and we can certainly keep in mind that these are people that maybe need more of an explanation of what's going on, of their options and so forth. So I've been doing that for 20 years. Before that, as I said, I was an appointed judge in '95, and then after I didn't win that election, the court hired me as court attorney, which is like an advisor and assistant to the judges, writing decisions, doing research and stuff. And I did that for 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I've really been in the Yonkers City Court for the past 25 years. I can't believe I've done anything for 25 years.
Right.
Except be married. We're married 30. I have to make sure I say we're married 38 years, because I told somebody 37, and Carol said, no.
Well, you deserve a round of applause for 38 years. A lot of people ain't seen 38 years. A lot of people in their second, third, and fourth marriages have been there.
Some of us don't even have our first.
Some of us are lucky, though. We picked right.
So in the challenge of asking questions and doing interviews of judicial candidates, there are things you can't speak on. So Lorraine today, before the show, went online and looked up things you can ask a judicial candidate. And she has a list of 10. If you could pick a few that you like to ask Judge Daly.
All right, some of these are going to be duplicates because they need to be asked.
Yeah, sure.
This one is a good one. How do you define injustice, and how would you deal with injustice when you confront it, or have you dealt with it when you confront it in your courtroom?
Sure. Well, injustice is not being able to tell your whole story, to be listened to, and then the decision has to be made. Now, the decision obviously is not always going to go, for example, in the criminal case, defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they'll be acquitted, and sometimes the evidence points to guilt. And we've developed this structure over many hundreds of years, this whole common law structure that we have, and I think it works pretty well in determining in the criminal side guilt or innocence, and then in the civil side determining who has proven their case, their claim, like small claims for example, by what we call a preponderance of the evidence. And that's basically what it is. A judge has to weigh the evidence. Sometimes in criminal, the judge has to guide the jury into how they're supposed to weigh the evidence.
Yeah.
And we hope that the result is justice as much as it can be in any human thing, because anything human is going to be subject, of course, to mistakes. But we try to minimize the mistakes.
Next question, Lorraine.
Can you explain your judicial philosophy in plain English?
That everyone who comes before me should leave feeling, win or lose, that they got a fair shake.
That's very nice. That's very honorable of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I felt when I was a practicing lawyer, because I practiced for about 10, 15 years before. And, most judges, I have to say, were like that. Occasionally, you get some you didn't feel you were listened to, but by and large, it's what we strive for.
Let me ask you a question. I'm really curious. Have you ever been scared on the bench? Like scared that...
Physically, you mean?
Yeah, like, oh my God, there's a criminal that...
No. I mean, we have fine court officers with us protecting the public as well as the judge.
Yeah.
In fact, if something does get a little crazy, the first thing the court officers
they
do
grab
is, "Judge,
you,
leave the
and
bench."
Because I've seen that happen in Yonkers.
I have to tell you a story, and I won't mention who it was or where it was or anything like that, but there was in another jurisdiction, somebody got a little out of hand, and the judge himself, before the court officers could anything, jumped off the bench and grabbed the guy.
Oh my God!
And afterwards they said, "Judge, you should have done that."
What are you done?
So they tell us that in judge school. We go to school from time to time every year and keep up with the newest developments. And one of the things it says, don't do this. This was done, and don't ever do this. Because if nothing else, you'll get your court officers in trouble for not being fast enough to protect you.
Now, that's interesting. Can I interrupt? So, judge school. Tell us about that. That's something the average person never heard of. What is judge school?
Sure. Well, every July, usually July or August, in the summertime, because things have slowed down a little bit, they take in rotation groups of judges in different parts of the state. And we go to like a hotel, something like that, for a couple of days. And we have lectures on various developments, going over new statutes that were passed in the previous year, important decisions that the appeals courts have decided that should guide us, maybe new procedures and policies that the court system itself has issued on how to deal with various issues. And so we keep up, and then you may see people that you don't see all year from other parts of the state or other parts of the county and you catch up with, how your approach is to various issues that come up. So, and then of course, when a judge is newly elected, for example, if I know Vera Shaco was here before,
yeah.
And in the course of time, if she gets elected, she'll be going to judge school next January. And she'll be given, updates, pointers, and so forth, because it is a different thing. You're an advocate for so many years. I was. Veris has been an advocate. So you have to put a different hat on when you become a judge. Mm-hmm. You're not an advocate for one side or the other anymore. And that, you have different things. Former judges, current judges, attorneys come in to lecture on different things you're going to face now as a new judge. So two aspects of judge school, as we call it. Yeah.
Couple more questions from your list.
Oh, I put my list away. Hold on, I gotta find it. God darn it, AJ.
So okay. While you're looking for that, for people who want to know more about you, I mean, there's only so much you can say in like a half an hour. Website, social media, anything?
Yes. My wife said, make sure you have this.
God, by the way, he's got a lovely, lovely wife. I really like her, and I love his daughter too.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very, very nice people.
She is fantastic.
And they take a very good friend of my friend Del.
Oh, Delphine.
Who's listening?
Who said that you are an honorable judge and an honorable person as well? I know him close to 30 years.
Oh, Delphine.
And Donna Nolan just said, good evening, guys. Tuned in late. Hello, Judge Daly.
Hello. How are you?
Yeah.
They're great people.
So, yeah, website, social media, anything like that?
Facebook, Judge Thomas Daly. Email is Judge Tom, small t, Daly, 2020 @gmail. And the website, I looked at it fast for a minute. I thought it said reject Judge Daly. It says re-elect Judge Daly.
We got a judge with a sense of humor too. That's cool. That's good. You gotta have one when you're at the bench, right?
Absolutely. The sense of humor helps everybody in life. You gotta have a sense of humor. Well, my dad used to say, God rest him, none of us are getting out of here alive.
Absolutely.
So, take each day as it comes and have humor. So so it's reelectjudgedaly.com.
Okay. Lorraine, you got any more questions on your list? At least one or two more if you got it.
Yeah, I do. How do you handle conflicts of interest?
Oh, well, in terms of me with the case?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, you can, there are certain categories where it's absolutely forbidden by rule. Like, for example, I couldn't sit on a case presiding over my daughter, right? Or if my daughter were the attorney. However, it's somebody that you know, you do certain things. First of all, you disclose to both sides, I know this person. And if you feel you can be fair, despite knowing one of the sides, you say to the two sides, the attorneys, whatever it might be, do you have any objection to me proceeding? And if they don't, you can proceed. But a lot of times you do like to, even if you feel you could be fair, you think maybe it's better to step back anyway.
And recuse yourself.
And recuse, exactly. Yeah, and of course, as Vera said, because I was out in the room hearing her, we have the 6 other judges to take the case if we need to.
Here's a good question. What have been the most effective methods for improving court procedures and efficiency? What other methods would you suggest?
Well, I tell you, and I've been saying this in part of my campaign, I am really happy with the court staff that we have now. It's amazing how they stand up to challenges, take the challenges on, and do good work. They're very polite to the people. They're very informative to the people, as to what they need to do, where they need to be. And that's basically the staff forget the judges. The staff of a court are the people who are going to come in, interact with the public, answer their questions on the phone, help them when they come to a counter. And when they have good morale and good training, it's a breeze. And we have Marissa Garcia is our chief clerk. She's been our chief clerk 15 years now. Was a deputy before that, so I've known her 25 years too there. And she really, it's amazing how calmly and nicely she keeps the staff in good morale. And I think that's key.
Now, have you ever, without telling us about the case, have you ever gone home and had a sleepless night over a case?
There are times when I've thought about the cases again, just to go over in my mind how it went. But in terms of agonizing over it, now I think that's a quality that is good in a judge, to make a decision and feel comfortable with the decision. Now, I've been reversed on appeal on some cases, and that comes with the territory. You do the best you can, make your decision. No, unfortunately, I stay up a lot at night, but it's not from that. It's from, whatever keeps us older people awake at night.
So you've been out campaigning, knocking on doors?
Oh yeah, and going to events. That's one thing.
I know
about
you're
Yonkers.
everywhere. I see you on Facebook.
There's plenty of events in Yonkers. There's always events in Yonkers. That was the other thing that my wife and I got a kick out of when we first started in this. That there's all kinds of organizations, clubs, events going on, flag raisings at City Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with the lack of things you could ask judges, we did some judges last year, and I asked 2 questions that have nothing to do with the election, have nothing to do with politics, just regular. If your house was on fire and you can only grab 3 things, what would they be?
Well, assuming that my daughter won't be living there much longer, it would be my wife. It would be, no, in a good way.
I know, but see how he eliminated that option. It makes it easier for him to answer.
Because my wife would do it if they didn't say my wife and the 2 cats.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's live. I tell you, geez, to this day I can remember it. I was in college, I guess, right? So I was coming home, and I got off the bus because I went to St. John's, and occasionally I have to take the bus all the way from Queens to the Bronx. And I see all these 2 blocks up. I'm walking up towards my house. There's these fire trucks and everything. And I said, gee, what happened? I get it. It's my house.
Oh.
And we had a cat, of course, and everybody had gotten out. And my sister, must have been 10 at the time, 11. She rushed back in to pull the cat from under the bed.
Oh my God! I did that when I was 11 when our house burnt down too. I ran inside and got the cat.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And it was upsetting. But I said I got to go get the cats.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you a variation of a question, a different question than
Sure.
we never asked everybody else, because we already talked about you're a Met fan. If you was a professional baseball player, what position would you play?
Ooh,
that's good. I think left field.
And why?
Because you get a little time to rest.
That's cool. Anything I didn't ask you that you want everybody to know?
Just that I'm happy to serve the people of Yonkers in this position. I've been dedicated to it for the last 20 years. It's been a ball doing it. I've enjoyed it. And I hope that the people of Yonkers will permit me to continue it.
Now, here's a question, and an interesting question. So you said you've been on it's about 20 years.
Right.
So do you think a judge can be on the bench too long?
I imagine so. If you got to a certain point where you couldn't do the job. As far as since it's you got to keep physically fit so you can be mentally fit. But I mean, it's primarily a mental job. So if your brain is still good, there are federal judges. They can stay on.
We got the Supreme Court. They on
and Supreme Court.
sometimes
They're lifetime jobs.
RBG. She's like, the notorious RBG. Yeah.
Right, but
she's trying to hold on to wait Trump out. She's trying to hold on.
She's got her head together. She's got her head together. So it depends on the individual, like anything else. We're living longer, we're healthier longer. Hopefully, we won't all get inundated with any. I keep thinking of Fear the Walking Dead.
Now, a lot of people in our community, they feel like, the saying is that Lady Justice is blind, and a lot of people in our community, in the brown and black community, feel like sometimes she peeks under the blindfold before ruling. So, what do you say to that?
Well, I would like to think not. I would like to think that justice is blind to everything except what came in court. The facts that came out, whether it's a civil case, criminal case, and so forth. And also, if we had to have a formal trial of every case that came into our court, we'd never finish. A lot of it is compromise and settling cases, and particularly the civil side. So, again, like I said before, I hope that the people, when they negotiate, and if we put in our input as to what would be fair in a compromise, that they feel that they did get a good shake out of the case. That a good compromise is when both people walk out thinking, I didn't get everything I wanted.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. So this
that's
is
human nature.
Right.
That's part of human nature.
Any more questions, Lorraine?
No.
No.
No, I'm good.
See, she always says I never give her a chance to ask questions. See?
I can answer. I got a list of questions here.
That's all right. She'll see me at another thing. She could still ask me. And then you could come on radio and say, I just asked Judge Daly this one, and he said this.
What I do want to state that it's important to remember that he is an incumbent and he is a designated nominee from the Yonkers Democratic Party. They like the work he's done, and they want to continue. And I think it's important that people know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I've seen from some of the comments that people
really like him.
Yeah.
People really like him. I mean, I can't speak so much for Varys. She's now running. McGrath has only been there for 2 months, but Judge Daly's been there for a good 20 years, and he's got a wonderful reputation. I've never heard anybody call him the A word or anything like that.
Thank you.
Never have I heard a complaint about you.
Thank you. Except
Wow.
maybe from my wife. Not about being a judge. Not taking out the garbage the right time.
Yeah, we all hear about that.
Right.
Yeah. And again, anything I didn't ask you that you want, to address or just say or, get out there.
Again, I talked about the staff, how great they are.
Let people know if
Yes.
anybody knocks on their door
Yes.
with a petition that has your name on it.
Yeah.
Please sign it. Folks, we
Please.
need you all to sign this before the end of March.
That's right, because that's when we got to file them.
Yeah.
And then June 23rd is the primary. And as Vera said, I saw she says there's 5 names so far. And, there'll be
3
3
slots.
left. There'll be 3 left. And after the primary, that's pretty much the election.
Yeah.
So there's no real Republicans
Yeah.
running
No, well, I got nominated by the Republicans, the Conservatives, I think the Working Families Party, and the Independence Party.
so you locked up all the lines.
He's like
Yeah,
that.
but
He's going
I
to make
mean-
it. We're looking at the honorable.
After
Yes.
20 years, they all said, no, there's no point, let's
Yeah.
nominate you. So I was very grateful to all the parties because, judges are nonpartisan, really. We can't express views about political issues, other candidates. We can't even endorse each other, Veris and Brendan and I.
Mm-hmm.
But the party leadership recognizes that and came with me on that. You know, it's interesting. Florida, I happen to be a member of the Florida bar too. Judicial elections down there, they can't tell you what party they're in. I'm not sure how that works.
Wow.
But that's the big no-no. They can't, and yet they're being backed by one of the two parties.
Right.
But they can't tell you what party are, and then after they're elected once, they're just voted on to retain them. Should Judge Judge Daly be retained on the bench? Would be the question.
Oh wow.
So so it's a whole differences, and then of course there are some states where the judges are just appointed, no elections at all. You know, even some city court judges in different cities in the state are appointed. White Plains, for example, is appointed by the Common Council.
I think Mount Vernon has one appointed position and the rest are voted.
Right.
Yeah, so but they have one appointed position.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it depends. When the court system became unified under one administrative ceiling back in the 70s, each city was allowed to retain their own way of selecting the judges.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it's still, some cities have it the one way, some cities have it another way.
Well, we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time. I always say,
I appreciate it.
I always say I've had a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. I'll have money again. But the one thing that I can never get back is time. So I'm very appreciative of people's time. So I thank you for taking the time to come by here and share with the audience. And
No, it's a real pleasure.
Yes.
And let me just say, please, for my people listening, when is it again? June
23rd, I think, right?
June 23rd, the primary. Do me a favor.
Is there early voting for the primary? Is there early voting?
There must be, yeah. They've gotten that pretty well in shape, the early voting.
I think
I'm sure there must be, yeah.
I know the general election, there was early voting, I think 10 days or something.
Yeah. Well, everything sort of got in flux because for the first time last year, they had moved the petition period up and the primary period up. It used to be in September.
Right.
And so, but it wasn't always like that because I can remember growing up in the Bronx having primaries in June. So I don't know if that was something special or if they had changed it. I've really forgotten.
When George Latimer, when he was running against Astorino, and he was here, he said he wished that they would move it up because the Democrats are fighting it out till September, and Astorino was beating them up from all along, and they couldn't fight, be the one who's going to do the fight against Astorino. Then you got like 5-6 weeks or whatever to fight the Republican.
For whatever party or whatever office, a long primary period doesn't really make that much sense. Because, as you say, candidates are beating each other up, and the public loses interest too. You can only keep the public's interest in this stuff.
I look at the presidential.
The interest goes up and down. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for coming.
Wish
you
so
well.
much. Thank you for the water.
Oh, no problem. And we have a blessed day. And
you too.
Hopefully, I've never see you in your courtroom. Not
sure
in front of you.
I'm sure not. Unless it's to get married. We do that too. We do weddings in the courthouse.
Okay.
Yeah, people get the license from Vinny Spano's city clerk office, and then they could come over to us, and we can do the blessed knot, tie the blessed knot.
Okay.
When you're ready, AJ, I know all the people.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, we thank you for coming.
Oh,
and guys, you know what? I'm just gonna ask my people. When you go vote, please vote on the primary. And if you don't know who to vote for, I'm not telling anybody who to vote for. But just please, one of the three choices. Can you just make it for Judge Daly, please? That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. That's very good of you. Thank you.
That's as good as a Lorraine Lopez endorsement.
I could say that my lips endorsement.
Oh, we thank you for coming through.
You.
Definitely.
I don't know if I'm supposed to get up and walk out. Or,
yeah.
Does it give the illusion?
No, but I'll see you around. I'll see you around here.
This week, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, you out there stopping. You're out there.
Oh, there's it. I can't wait to do that.